Hello everybody and welcome to another Doctor Who review. This time I'm reviewing an 11th Doctor story. It's Nightmare in Silver. This is totally random. I am doing the tail end to it season 7 by the looks of it quite a bit, but it is random the way I choose these stories, and it kind of fills a gap between the Crimson Horror and the name of the Doctor. So yeah, let's get on with it, shall we? Basic plotline of this one: the Doctor, Clara, Angie and Artie arrive on Hedwig's World, which is a theme park that's closed. They meet up with Webley, who has been looking to try and get off the planet for 6 months, and also a punishment platoon of the Earth Army, the Earth Empire. I think it's the Earth Empire anyway. It's never referred to properly. And they are here because they've been banished from the front lines because of not doing their job, basically. So the Doctor, Artie, Angie and Clara start going around the theme park with Webley, and they find some Cybermen, or Cybermen husks. And there's also some Cybermites, some little creatures that are very miniature Cybermats that are there as well, and they're basically crawling about and waiting for somebody intelligent to come along so they can revive these Cybermen and upgrade them. And duly they do so. The Doctor gets infected by the Cybermites and becomes the Cyber Planner, or there's a fight between the Doctor and the Cyber Planner for his mind through a chess game. In the meantime, the Cybermen are waking up, they're upgrading, they're becoming a lot more radical and cooler than they were before, and they are in the process of trying to take over this planet. So Clara and the army go to Nasty Longshoe's conical castle, which in real life is Castell-Coch, and I don't know if I'm saying that right, so my apologies in advance, as is the best defensive position for the Cybermen. Clara thinks about electrifying the moat, and obviously the army's got a good place around to a good conical shape to see the army from all sides. And the Doctor ends up managing to get control of his body for a wee while the fight is going on with him and Mr. Clever, the Cyber Planner, by using gold. He gets to the castle, he gets into a room and continues the chess match with Mr. Clever, and there's a bit of back and forth between him and Clara and the whole conversation between them on there. And in the meantime, there is a person who's been working with Webley, who has been cyber converted by this point, and Angie and Artie have also been controlled by the Cybermen. They've not been converted, but they've been controlled with kind of earpods. Webley has an assistant called Porridge, who ends up to being the Emperor. And he is ending up saving the day because there's a big bomb that can implode the planet, which initially the captain of the army tried to set, but was then quickly killed. There's a trigger that was then destroyed by Mr. Clever, which Clara gave the Doctor, stupidly. And it's just a voice activation from the Emperor that implodes the planet and saves the day and saves the Cybermen from ambushing and killing everybody. So it's interesting in that respect. The story, basic entertainment fare, very take your brain out, I think. But we'll go in and have a look at some of the characters and the actors in this story. So we have the Doctor, played by Matt Smith. This is at the end of his tenure. The kind of wavy about, kind of fun and eccentric Doctor is here, but it's not peak Smith. It's a bit strange because the Doctor as a character himself is kind of half and half here, because Matt Smith's got to play two roles. He's got to play Mr. Clever, and he's got to play, or the Cyber Planner rather, and the Doctor. I'll come to the direction about that in a minute because it's not exactly 100% clear. Overall, he's playing it as the Doctor we all know, the Doctor we all love. This whole impossible girl aspect that we have at this point in the season is a little bit interesting, but it's not part of the plot. It's just a little bit in the background, which is interesting to an extent. But overall, not much I can say about Matt Smith. He's quite fun. He's got the manic humour and sense of fun that he has. he seems to be talking a bit faster than normal, which I think is a bit interesting. Maybe it was just trying to get through the script or get through the filming a bit quicker. Maybe there's some production issues I'm not aware of. I don't know, but that was the situation there. You've then got Clara, played by Jenna Coleman. Clara's a kind of a shell here. She's kind of like a plot point, more or less. She's given charge of the army, because the Doctor plays himself as kind of like a pursuer or some sort of inspector for the Emperor, using a psychic paper, and Clara's put in charge of the army, and she's slightly out of her depth, but does manage to try and get some sort of strength there, because it looks like the army that's been sent here is kind of a bunch of misfits who don't really know what they're doing and don't want it to really take orders. And I'll come back to the captain, a couple of the characters later. And that's where most of her role is. And yeah, there is some nice ideas here, but there's not much to Clara. But whatever Jenna Coleman gets, she gets brilliant. She plays it brilliantly. There's no issue with Jenna Coleman's acting in any of the Doctor Who's she's in, and this is certainly another example of it. You then got the guest cast. You've got Jason Watkins, who plays Webley. Interesting fairground host. Interesting start to the character, but then he's become a supplant for the Cybermen, so he really is a plot point. Jason Watkins plays him okay. You've got Angie and Artie, played by Eve de Leon Allen for Angie and Cassius Carey Johnson for Artie. The kids annoyed me. They annoy me in the Bells of St. John, they annoy me here, and they annoy me at the end of at the end of the Crimson Horror. Angie kind of realises obviously that Porridge is the Emperor quite early on, but ultimately there's not much to them. They're kind of there is something for the Doctor to rescue at the end of the day, and they're a bit bolshy kind of children initially, but you know what? They're kind of pointless. They're not really needed for the plot 100%. You could easily do without them in here, and they're there just because the Doctor wants to take them a day out. And obviously, what a day out it was. They're pointless. They're well acted, but they're pointless. You then got the captain, played by Tamsin Outwait. She plays it with a bit of gravitas, a bit of kind of trouble with her, and the way that she's got this worry about the disenfranchised or disenchanted or disherited. I can't remember what the phrase is. They call themselves the army, but she plays a strong enough role with there. But she's kind of compliant because she's kind of a lower rank captain. But she's okay. But there's not much for her to play. It's like a guest role, which doesn't do much. You've then got a couple of the other of the army. You've got Beauty and Brains, played by Eloise Joseph and Will Merrick. They are plot points. They are there just to help plot along and give somebody for Clara to bounce off of, but they don't really do much. You don't really know about much of their history or why they're there or anything like that. It's not ideal. Cybermen are played by Nicholas Briggs, the voice. They don't say much, to be fair. Upgrade in progress is basically all they say. But the standout is the guest cast. Of the guest cast is Warwick Davis, who plays Porridge, or the Emperor. He's quite unassuming. He's quite quiet, but the way he plays it is, it's like he knows he's more than he actually is, and he's trying to play this man who's just a helper for Webley. But it's quite obvious he's got more of gravitas, and the bits he plays near the end when he's an Emperor is actually well played, and I quite like it. And actually, it's probably the strongest of the guest cast here is from Warwick Davis, and I did enjoy the whole performance from Porridge, and he does lift up the script a little bit. He is the only one I think is the best counterpoint to some of the rest of the script. Looking at the story itself, there are some interesting bits. There's some interesting choices. So the phrase of the theme park, the ride that want to be on, the Spacey Zuma ride, the kind of anti-gravity ride, which was closed. It's a typical name that the Doctor would say, but it's kind of there is actually a little image of it actually being called the Spacey Zuma ride. That's actually the name of the ride, and I thought it was just something the Doctor made up. So that's an interesting little quip that's put in there. So yeah, the army is a punishment platoon. They don't fight, or they weren't fighting, so they're sent to Hedwig's World to be out the way of the main fight with the Cybermen. At this point, the Cybermen established have been completely destroyed in a kind of nebula, which you have a visual reference for in the story, and they're thought has been extinct, but obviously not. You've got two aspects here with the character, the Doctor here. You've got Mr. Clever, the Cyber Planet, and you've got the Doctor. Visually, it's difficult to differentiate at times which one's which, because they're played fairly manically, both of them. Matt Smith doesn't quite get the the nuance between the two of them at times. If he's not physically restrained like he is for most of it, because the Doctor says he wants to be restrained, so it's only hands-free for the chess match, so Mr. Clever's not going about doing stuff while they're doing this chess match. That element is, that is difficult, because I get the impression he doesn't quite nail the sinisterness of Mr. Clever with the Doctor, I don't think. Matt Smith's visual performance works it better, because when he first gets taken over by the Cyberplanet, he's standing up, and basically he's flipping his body from one side to the other, so everybody knows which side we're talking about, and that's a lot clearer. But when you're sitting down, he hasn't got the audio inflection to really have the nuance there with it to show the main, the main aspect of the character and the evil. The bits in the Doctor's brain and the conversation between the two of them, that's fine. You've got a visual reference, but the audio side is kind of the audio ticks. The vocal performance isn't 100% on pat, and that's why I think it probably falls a bit flat, the whole Mr. Clever idea for this. Direction wise, it's fairly standard. There's an attempt to try and make action here by Stephen Wolfenden, and there's one element here where the Cyberman first comes up, when the first Cyberman first appears and takes Angie away. This kind of slow motion speed, this kind of flash kind of feeling of the Cyberman with electricity coming off its back as it's speeding past all the people to get Angie, and it reminds me very much of the Tooth and Claw element with the monks jumping over the farmhands in Tooth and Claw, and it's like he's tapped into Eros Lynn's direction style attempt. It just, I know it may have been budgetary, and I know the visuals there, but it just sits hollow to me. It doesn't seem to work. It's a nice idea, but it doesn't seem to give the whole flow for it as much as it could do. And ultimately, the whole plot line and the whole basis of it is kind of like the Cybermen attack, they're trying to ambush. There's interesting ideas there, but they're not really put together properly, and I get the feeling this has either been heavily rewritten or heavily not plotted correctly, and it's not the greatest from Neil Gaiman in regards to the plot line. I think it's kind of like he's out of steam a little bit, and it just feel a bit like that, which is a bit of a shame, because it's not terrible, but it's not brilliant either. It's a bit meh, I think is probably the best way. The direction overall is pretty standard. The effects are pretty standard. I do like the matte shot they have when the Cybermen are all coming down the lane from the view of the castle and the whole planet behind it, and you see the theme park scene. That's quite a nice little CGI matte. I do quite like that. But okay, overall, it is take your brain out, but not too much of your brain, because you need it to think about what's going on. It's not a case you can just get on with it and enjoy it. Some people don't like this story a lot. That it has got a kind of sweary moniker to it for the title of the story. It's kind of justified in some respects, but it's not. But actually viewing it, it's not terrible. It's not too bad, but it's not terrible. I'm going to be fairly generous on this in this respect, because there is good elements to it, and it is an enjoyable romp to watch, but it's not something you'd want to pick out and watch all the time. It really isn't for me. It's not as bad as Time Lash, it's not as bad as Sleep No More. In that case, I'm going to give it a low 3 TARDISes out of 5. Okay, that's another story from the Matt Smith era covered. Let's have a look and see how that story sets itself up against the other stories that we've reviewed so far for the TV stories. Nightmare in Silver is a bedfellow with The Name of the Doctor with 3 TARDISes out of 5. At the top is The Day of the Doctor with 4.5 TARDISes out of 5. The Doctor's Wife is 4 TARDISes out of 5, and there's 3 stories currently with 3.5 TARDISes out of 5. Amy's Choice, The Pandorica Opens, The Big Bang, and The Crimson Horror. Overall, there are still 2 stories at the bottom at 2.5 TARDISes out of 5. They are Time Lash and Sleep No More, and at the top are still 6 stories with 4.5 TARDISes out of 5. I've mentioned The Day of the Doctor already, but it also includes The Happiness Patrol, Inferno, The Caves of Androzani, The Tomb of the Cybermen, and Dalek. That's it for now. Thanks guys for watching. What do you think of Nightmare Silver? Leave a comment down below. Do you like it? Leave a comment down below. What's more likely? Do you not like it? Leave a comment down below. But if you like this review, leave a comment, just let me know. If you like this video, don't forget to like it and share it with the hashtag teamstructor, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notifications bell so you know when a new video comes out if you like the channel as a whole. And don't forget, if you want to help support the channel more, you can go to the Patreon at patreon.com/Deanstructor. For as little as £1 or $1 a month, you can help support the channel. If it's Teamstructor Team 1, you get a name check. If it's Teamstructor Team 2, you get previews to videos that are coming out at least a week in advance. And tier 3, you maybe get some extras behind the scenes and extra videos as well. So different tiers, different ideas. Go have a look, come and help support the channel. Patreon.com/Deanstructor. That's it for now, guys. Thanks very much for watching. This is Who Month. We continue next time with Delta and the Bannerman. Hopefully you can join me for that. Until next time, guys, see you later.